Okay, I got my wife in with me tonight. I'm just ringing her and hello. My wife has just come into my ear. Uh, right, it's 7:30 according to my phone, whatever that thing is. So we'll start. Oh no, that's weird. You've got to turn the sound off, Lisa. I can't have that coming into my ear as well. It's about 30 seconds behind me saying it. Okay, I think we're good. Sound on your computer's got to go off. I can't have that coming back at me 30 seconds after I've said it. Sorry, folks. Okay, so we'll start. This is all Mike Waldt's fault. He did a live a couple of weeks back using glue chucks, which reminded me I promised myself I would make some glue chucks for this new lathe, and I'd not got round to it. Now, there's various ways of doing it. You can make a sacrificial block which you hold in a chuck, or you can make something a bit more permanent, which is what we're going to do tonight. So we start off by buying ourselves, is that in the camera? I don't know, it's 30 seconds behind. It should be, it's in front of my face. Right, so we start off, we need to buy some nuts. Get this from eBay or wherever you can get nuts from, and I need to switch camera before I do that. Now we'll go to that camera. Mine's an M33, so obviously I bought M33 nuts. On eBay, I bought 5 of them for 25 quid delivered, which is quite pricey, but they're big nuts. If you've got somebody close who you can get it from, even better. Excuse me a sec, folks. I've got to do my moderator needs to turn the sound down on the computer, please. Hi, Di. Lisa, can you turn the sound off on your computer, please? Okay. So, yeah, I bought 5 of these nuts. Fit nicely on the lathe. And the next step is to get them mounted into a piece of wood so we can glue things to them. Now the other thing is, of course, you've all been watching these demonstrators. They've got a chuck for every set of jewels they've got. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a little bit jealous. I want more things that screw to my lathe hanging on my walls. So I've been thinking about what I can do with them. Excellent. I've got 5 dice, so I'm alright. But anybody else in the stream that needs them, get in touch with Di. Obviously, you get whatever your lathe needs. You can get nuts of all sizes, get what your lathe needs. Right, now I've been talking to Valerie Singleton, and she's told me that I need to do some more blue pleater moments. And also I'm zooming around the workshop, and I can't move my cameras that fast. So we're going to go into am I back on sound? Hopefully in 30 seconds my earworm will tell me that we've got sound. Anyway, I was just saying, you can use whatever timber you like as long as it's a decent piece of timber. I've gone for sapele because it gives me a nice contrast to the sacrificial part that's going to go on the front, and I just happen to have a piece of sapele. I'm cutting 2 blocks because I'm at the bandsaw, why not? Completely lost myself now. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was in the workshop. So it doesn't matter how square they are. Onto the drill press, and for the M33 I'm using a 55mm Forstner bit. Again, whatever your lathe takes, a Forstner bit that fits it. And you'll see in a minute that my lathe doesn't normally go with, my drill press doesn't normally go with big bits, and it's going way too fast. And I'm too lazy to change it, so you get put up with the smoke. Again, being 100% square isn't crucial. We square it up on the lathe later on. Bit of beeswax doesn't reduce the smoke, I can tell you. I actually hope this video is going out because I don't really know what's going on with this. I've never done this before. But hopefully, oh excellent. Hi David. Yes Mike, I do use the drill press as an outfeed for the bandsaw. And in fact the lathe. It can come right across the lathe bed. I've just about got enough room at the other end of the workshop to get that sort of length in there. Okay, so I need to get the depth. The nut doesn't have to be fully inside the block, but it does need to be mostly inside the block. So just drill down to a suitable depth. I did think afterwards that perhaps if I'd left it a bit more nut sticking out, you could use a spanner if you got stuck on there, but I didn't do that. Woody, I didn't have any of this fancy gear when I had a job, so only after they kicked me out I got this gear. Right, now it's quite important to put some holes in the sides to allow a Tommy bar in there for when you get it stuck on the lathe and you need to undo it again. And whilst it's square, it's a good time to put the holes in. You could do it later, but now's easy. Later on we're going to be coming on to making another little part of the tool that totally Mike Waldt's idea, I think. And the hole matches that piece of steel we're going to use later. Yeah, this workshop has been 10 years in the making. It had a serious overhaul last year. Cool, I should have cut it on one block really, but never mind. One good thing about doing the film is you haven't got to wait for the epoxy to dry. And masking off the threads of the knot is a good plan here. You're going to put epoxy in there. Doesn't really matter for the look perspective, but if you get epoxy down into your threads, I'm sure you don't have a M33 tap to clean them up with. So mask them up. And you could use a clamp or a hammer or whatever to get these nuts into the blocks. I paid a lot of money for this vise, so I'm going to use the vise. Doesn't take much pressure to push these nuts into them. The 55mm hole is just the corners that you've got to squeeze in. Oops, I should have cut that bit out really, shouldn't I? Never mind, you can see it. Woody, I built this shop from the ground up. Literally, well, took the ground out, put the concrete base down, built the workshop. And built it 1/3 the size I needed. Now I didn't really use 3 tubes of epoxy for this. One of them was almost empty, and I used that bit plus about half of another one. They are good, Rob. They're cheap. They're easy to make. You can make as many as you want, especially if you've got a contact to pick up the nuts from. If you're anywhere near agricultural engineers and things like that, then big nuts are easy to find. Hi, Fred. Yes, Fred, you can get them on eBay. Oh, helpful review. Show that one. As I just said, Fred, you can get all sorts of weird size nuts on eBay. It costs a bit more because you've got to find them. And yes, Woody, as you say, plenty of big nuts on here. As you can see, I'm just stuffing the epoxy down the side of the nuts. I'm not being particularly careful with it. You just want it to make sure that the nut doesn't come out under fairly extreme conditions. Fred, if you go to any agricultural repair shop, old tractors with reviews that size, they'll have them. Yeah, as Di says, it does depend on where you are. Places that are used to old imperial fittings and big machines, they'll have that sort of thing knocking around. Okay, on my end, the film is finished. And we're back to the... Oh man, I'm trying to follow these two together. Okay, so we're back to live, I think. And as you can see, I've got a nut stuck in a piece of wood. Job done. Fits nicely on the lathe. And I can use those Tommy bar holes that I made to lock it on there. All we need to do now is make it round. And this is where I stop looking at the screen completely and try to remember not to leave anything loose or tap him. And I remember to turn the lathe down to minimum. I'm not going to put my safety mask on because it's a very small piece of wood and I know it's safe. But I do have specs on. And I'm being good. I've turned it down to minimum. And this piece of wood is in bowl orientation. So I'm going to use a bowl gauge, which makes sense. Obviously turn the lathe off before you move the tool rest. There is actually no real need to round that off. Get that out of the way. But at a later date you're going to be working on things and you might end up with your knuckles there. And having it rounded off is a good plan. As I said during the movie, it doesn't really matter that you get it square on the bandsaw. It doesn't really matter that you get the nut pressed in square because you're going to square it up now. I must get this bottom of this tool rest ground off. It's too high. It sits on the lathe bed. When it's sat on the lathe bed, it doesn't go down far enough. My left hand is doing nothing in that cut. It's just resting on top. Got to put it somewhere. If I put the tool rest up against there, I can see I've got it almost flat, but it's the wrong way. I want a very slight dish on this because hot melt glue is thick, glutinous, so I want somewhere to put it. So I'm going to cut a very, very slight dish. Again, left hand's doing nothing. That's perfect. No, it isn't. That's too perfect. I don't want it that good. If you're gluing something together, you don't want it. Don't want it smooth. I think. See, I thought it'd been so good today, and I put everything I was going to need out on this table, right behind the lathe, right in my easy reach. But I need a piece of coarse sandpaper. Let's try another view, just for fun. Which we have picture in picture. Right, so we've got some 60 grit. Don't use a lot of this stuff. Really just opening up some fibres to get the glue stuck into. And there you have it. One permanent part of a glue chuck which you can screw on and off your lathe. What you do on top of that is entirely up to you. Typically, go on. Not laminated MDF for putting the nut into, but you can use laminated MDF on the front. Don't know who asked that question, it just come through my earworm. Dye. Yeah, dye, don't use it for the back, but as you can see I've got a piece of I think that's chestnut. Yeah, a piece of chestnut glued to the front of this one. It's literally just put on there with hot melt glue and turned exactly the same as the backing block. And then you can glue things to the front of it, which is an excellent plan. Now, one problem with that, when I had them before, I would have my piece of wood. What camera are we on? I've got YouTube on the screen, which is not showing me what I'm talking about. So I need to go to the other screen, which shows me what's live. I can't see what's going on YouTube. But hey, So back to the overhead, which is over there somewhere. Blimey, it's all over there. Let's bring it over this way a bit. Hi Debbie. Yep, so I used to get my bowl blank, move my glue block around, figure out where it was, mark it with a pencil and glue it on. When I looked at what Mike was doing, Mike Waldt that is, the guy who thought all this is, he had a brilliant idea. He made a pokey stick. And so simple, so I don't know why I'd never thought of it before, but drill a hole through your block, stick the pokey stick through, have a centre hole, there you go, centred. Perfect. So now we're going to go for another little video, which I think I'm talking in. So I'm going to put a video on, and if you can hear me doing a commentary in the video, stick it in the tool in the chat. If you can't, I'll do the commentary live. Right, this bit is totally stolen from Mike Waldt. I don't know if he stole it from somewhere else. But rather than draw circles on your blank and try and line your glue block up with it, why not make a hole with a pokey bit so you can put a point through and locate. I happen to have this piece of 6mm steel left over from an old motorcycle repair, but any bit of bar, even maybe a 6-inch round wire nail, just chop the end off, or don't. How do you get it sharp? Well, that's easy. You put it in a drill, and just spin it against your sharpening system. Or even a bit of static sandpaper will do. But if you've got a system, why not use it? See where we're on the camera. 1 point. Best to use your sharpening system, not your wood sanding system. Sparks and sawdust do not mix well. Right, so we've got to put a handle on that and make a hole for it. And I'm back. I shouldn't have that in my hand on YouTube, never mind. Got caught. My screen's still showing picture and blackness at the same time. Can you hear me talking on the YouTube? I don't know. Okay, so that was my video with commentary. Kind of worked that. It saved me carrying cameras around the workshop. Now Mike did a video the other day where he made a bowl using a glue chuck, basically the same as this. So I'm not going to make that because it's been done. Everything's been done, but what I'm going to do is make myself another tool. I want a friction disc. I don't need a sanding disc because I've got a 10-inch sanding disc over in the corner, so I don't need one of those. But you could put a bit of ply or a bit of MDF, something, on, stick a big piece of sandpaper on it, and you have a nice sanding disc. Basically, you can reuse these glue chucks in lots and lots of different ways. I've turned my glue gun on. Hopefully it will be hot soon. Needs to be nice and hot, the glue. And unfortunately, I was hoping for a bigger piece of plywood, but this is the best I could find. I will have a big scrap at someday soon and make another one. Okay, while the glue gun's heating up, because it's taking a little bit longer than I expected. I did turn it on while the movie was on, but you know, I don't have a fancy one. Any questions? Or has anybody's house been blown down? Or anybody been flooded? Or building a balcony at the moment, Vicky, and it's about 12 foot off the ground, and it's mostly built but not complete, and the cat loves it out there, but I didn't dare her out this morning because I thought she'd get blown off of it. Okay, the astute ones amongst you would have said, well, how do I know I've got a hole in the middle of my glue block? If I change the camera, which I should have done before I did that bit I just did, but I wasn't looking. Yeah, it's quite simple. Stick your Jacob's chuck in and drill a hole through it. It's going to go into the Morse taper, so there's no danger. The view's caught up with me, so I'll start the lathe. When using a Jacob's chuck, just keep hold of it as it starts. It's only just pushed in on the taper and there's not a lot of resistance on it. More importantly, hold it when you pull it out. You don't want to get it jammed into your work and flying out towards your head, because that hurts. It's a big lump of metal. Well, I presume it hurts. I've never actually done it. I didn't drill all the way through. I thought I'd gone through and I hadn't. Okay, so we'll do that again with the overhead camera when I put it on there. See, this is just the sort of thing I do and mess up when I'm on camera because of those three little black boxes looking at me. Tighten that up, loosen that, start the lathe, hold the Jacobs, even more importantly, hold the Jacobs chuck on the way out. Get it off the tailstock because you're going to get it in the elbow otherwise. And hopefully I've got a hole all the way through now. I do. So now I can use my alignment device. My glue gun should be warm. Put a goodly amount on. It's cheap enough, just use it. Anybody that's seen Mike's video will know that he's got nice fancy Bosch glue guns. I've got a Parkside one. Nicely centred. Oh, blimey. I can't see where I'm holding that because I've got to wait for the video to catch up with me. I did all of that off camera, didn't I? I've got a better idea. I'll shove that over there. Sorry, just fiddling with the mouse. Bring that up, and then I'll see what I'm doing. Okay, back on camera. Right. Whilst I was off the edge of the screen and talking and not looking and being 30 seconds out of zone, I glued that on there. I honestly did. I used hot melt glue, stuck it on there, and it's nearly glued. There's one more bit we need to do. Just a little bit of pressure, wait till it cools down. Everybody's saying hi, Baz. Hi, Baz. Sorry, I'm not looking at the screen much, but I should be looking at the screen more, I think. Okay, so that bit that you didn't see me glue has cooled down now. Just run a little bead around the edge. And Mike did this on a bowl that he was turning the other day, and he couldn't get it off. But he was actually inside a recess, which I think was part of the problem. Remember, this is hot melt glue. It's basically it's a thick lump of melted plastic. But it does grip quite tight, as Mike found out. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. It's good. So yeah, there's a bead of glue all the way around it. Give that a couple of minutes to cool down. Rob, Parkside is the own brand of Lidl. I find their motor tools can be a little bit dodgy on power, a little bit underpowered sometimes, but some of them are good. But how good a glue gun do you need? It just needs to get hot, that's it. It's bead around the outside. I can put my nail into it. You can see it beginning to get hard. Back on the lathe. Use my centering device. Which camera? That camera. Use my centering device as my Tommy bar. Actually, this particular piece of bar, my wife had a Chinese 125 to learn to ride a motorbike on, and the gear selector rod stripped its thread. So I bought that piece of bar, cut that piece off because it wasn't needed, mended the bike, and it's been sat in the garage ever since. She's had a full license for a lot of years now, so that was a long time ago. Now I could have cut this round on the bandsaw, but as I'm not going to turn the bowl because Mike's already done that bit, I thought I'd leave it unround. But the other thing I want to do is turn my lathe speed down, stand to one side, do the AWGB safety check, check the camera view, and the camera froze but then it caught up again. Oh, that's quite interesting. It's presumably stream error. Don't know if you're seeing it, but what I'm seeing is it stopping and starting again. But I'm not touching the lathe, it is running. As you can see, it's running fairly true, apart from the corners. Don't need to change my tool rest, but I'm going to, because I want to. Now I could be a lot more gentle than this. I could approach it from the front and gently cut it round, but I'm not going to. I want to test that glue and show it off. Spin that up to 900. Handle down. Trying to abuse it, but I don't want to catch. Shift the tool rest in a bit. More in balance now, so I've taken the speed up a little bit. I've been turning for 10 years, and favourite form? Bowls, I think. I like to do odd shaped things. If I can get a piece of wood that's got an inclusion in it, or even a chainsaw marker, I'm not fussy, that I can turn a bowl and leave a bit untouched. I love to see that contrast between the cut, polished, sanded, shiny bit and a little bit of natural in there as well. That's my favourite. But I do some small spindle work for a customer. That can be repetitive, but it's actually quite fun as well. That's multi-part pieces that have to fit together. So there's a little bit, slightly engineering involved. But yeah, I'm quite a bit of a tart really. I'll cut anything, I don't mind. I've got I'm on a promise for a piece of timber, piece of ash that's sort of the semi-root, semi-base of the trunk, 30 inches in diameter, which will stretch this lathe a little bit, I think. I'm looking forward to that. I'm picking that up in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. I'll probably film that again because that'll be a really long, slow job to get that sorted into a bowl. But I'll film it if it's as good as it's promised to be. It'll be quite interesting. Cool. I'm pleased it's working. As you can see, I'm not 100% round there. I'm very, very close to it. Just going to take another little tiny bit off of that. I now have a disc. It's running through, it's nice and flat. It'll do what I wanted. I say one of the common things, if you don't have a big disc sander, get yourself some Velcro, glue it on there, get yourself a big sanding disc, and you've got yourself a disc sander. To add to that, I don't know if anybody saw Wayne's drill thing the other day, where he had a wooden post in his tool rest. Or a wooden post in his tool rest, piece of MDF as a platform, and you have a very nice sanding table. I said I don't need that because I've already got one. But it's an option. It's one thing you could do with this. I think my battery's going flat on my phone, so I might lose my earworm in a minute. But what I'm going to do is make myself a friction plate, which was going to be about 12 inches diameter, but I didn't have the plywood. By sticking a piece of rubber mat on there. This is probably also from Lidl, but Lidl in Kefalonia, where they use it over there to hold the carpets down on the tiled floors. So you can buy it in big carpet sized packs for pennies. But it's actually the same material as a router mat. So, pretty good. So, I have a piece of hardboard here which I can put on the lathe. I can look at the camera and make sure I'm actually on the right view, which I'm not. Sorry about this, folks, moving the camera. Which way do we need to go? There we go. Cheers, Robert. Been running for an hour now, isn't it? Yeah. Right, I've lost my earworm. Okay, so thanks, David. I think I'm back on camera now, after making you all seasick by shifting the camera about. As I said, I've lost my earworm, so I'm trying to read the comments myself now. Can you let me know if you can see the workpiece in the centre of the lathe? Because I can't see what you're seeing. Excellent. That was quite a long delay now. Okay, so a little bit of hot melt just dabbed on there. Fold that over, press it down in. Stick your fingers to it. Oh, I caught myself with super glue the other day. I was holding a piece in one hand and I was putting PVA glue on it, but there was no good way of clamping it, so I thought, I know, I'll stick a bit of super glue on there and activate it, and that'll hold it whilst the PVA dries. Done it before, it's a good idea, except when it isn't, and this wasn't, because I couldn't get the little super glue. And when I did, I squeezed it, got it all over my hand. 3 fingers were stuck together, so I had to stand with them, or rip them apart and then stand with them separated for ages. And glue on my fingers is normal right now. But when you've got a piece of work in your hand and you don't want to drop it, you don't want to pull it apart, but you can't put your fingers together. I do actually have some super glue release agent in the workshop. The idea is if I ever get silly and stick myself to the lathe or the workbench, then I can call for help for somebody to go and fetch a release agent. No, Tommy, you've missed nothing. You might have to go back and watch it again. I didn't break anything this time, much. Yet. There's time. Right, so now that's dry that side, or dry-ish. I can stretch this side over a bit. Put a bit of glue on this side. To be honest, you could staple this on. Just I call this glue chuck thing, so I'm going to use glue. If I stick my thumb there, I might regret using glue, mightn't I? What are you eating, Tommy? Is it nice? We went out to one of our favourite restaurants the very first weekend they were allowed to open. We went with our neighbours, who were good friends of ours. And we were pretty much the only customers in there. Oh, David, that's class. Glued your lips together. Yeah, you can use double-sided tape, you can use anything. I don't use double-sided tape because this has got holes in it. I've got another one which, if I can hold that and reach down there at the same time. This is one I use quite a lot, and it's just foam rubber. That's all it needs. It's just something to give it a bit of grip. Yeah, most of this stuff, it just tends to be whatever I've got on hand. You're making tools for occasional use. I mean, I've got cold drills, but they can be a faff sometimes. If you just want to take the tenon off of something, you don't really want to go fixing the cold drills to your chuck and adjusting them and all the rest of it. Especially if you then got another 20 bolts to turn and you've got to put your other jewels back on, because we've only got, well, I've got 2 chucks actually. I did work for a long time with just the 1 chuck. I now have 2. And I was quite content with that until I saw Martin and Mike and all the others have got a chuck for every set of jewels. Right, I'm just going to trim these excesses down. Pair of scissors. I don't really care, they're going to be flying around. I could tidy them up later on. Bit of tape around the edge. In fact, I might do that just for completeness. Hey, I've managed to go an hour without panicking and hanging up on you guys. I think one of my attempts at doing a live, which only have 5 people watching because I only just dropped in on chance just to try it out. I lasted about 5 minutes before my nerves got the better of me and I hung up and closed it down. So I'm doing well tonight. But I have put a lot of planning into this one to try and give myself an edge. That'll make it easier. No workshop is complete without... Oh, nearly swore. Wrong camera again. Well, it's the right camera, I just moved it to do the other bit. I should have moved it back again. Sorry, folks. Rob, then yours is a perfect candidate for something along these lines. Get yourself a glue chuck, you can make anything. I mean, before scroll chucks became common, which wasn't that long ago actually, glue chucks were everywhere. They did everything. Right, so I have a friction plate. And in here somewhere, I have a live center. This I took out of the kiln today. It's piece of horse chestnut. No, it's not. Piece of sycamore, some sort of acer. But no, that's not horse chestnut. Okay, it's a piece of sycamore, which I took out of the kiln today. It's been there for 3 months. It's nicely warped. And cut it nice and thick so I can work it now. I'm not going to make a bowl, I'm just going to stick it up against my newly made faceplate. Turn my speed down because it's a new mounting. Bring the speed up gently. And as you can see, I've got a new tool. I've got a friction drive. And I can use that. I'm going to do it with. Give myself a bit of space. Obviously this has been in the kiln drying, so the tenon that I cut is no longer round. So I can just go in there and just touch that up. And I now have a round tenon. We also have two new tools, and 3 more nuts to make different things with. So that's it. Sorry about the camera being in the wrong place a couple of times. I lost my earworm towards the end, so I don't know if you've had any questions recently. If you did and I haven't answered, ask them again, and I'll look at the screen now. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you for sticking with it. Hope it's given you some ideas, some food for thought, and a relatively cheap way of extending your tool range. If you've got a small chuck, in fact I had somebody come in for a lesson. When did he come in? Oh, the other day, I can't remember when. I'm old, I can't remember these things. But he came in for a lesson, and I said, well, bring your tools, let's see what you got. He brought in some Chinese tools. There was a spindle roughing gouge that looked as though it was made of Rizzler papers. A skew, half-inch skew that was also very flimsy, and a third tool I didn't recognise. Doesn't have a chuck. If he does something like this, then he can turn a bowl. He's got a faceplate to do one side, got a friction drive for the other side. All we've got to do is buy some nuts. Thank you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. Don't know how many people were in, no idea. If I get my mouse I can look at the other screen. See, that's weird because I'm talking, I've got my camera picture there. Point at my camera. Got my camera picture there. I've got YouTube Studio there, and I see that I'm saying something I said ages ago. It's time travel. Well done, David. Go and buy yourself some nuts and have a play. I've got another block in the square made up, and 2 more nuts to find something to do with yet. They will all get used. I wanted to do it in Blue Peter moments, so I sort of made them in different stages. But I do want a 14-inch version of this because it's handy. I do want to put these on my wall so that it looks as though I've got a range of fancy chucks hanging on the wall. I've set it so the nut goes all the way to the back. But there's no reason why you couldn't put a spacer behind it, or so I did think after I did it, if I'd left half the nut protruding from the wood, then you could put a spanner on it, you wouldn't need a Tommy bar. But Tommy bars are easy, and Tommy bar sharpened to a point, very handy as well. Thanks Steve, thanks Yola. There's lots of options that you can extend from this idea. Excellent. Thanks for coming in, Ruben. You're very welcome. Well, I think unless there's any other questions, it's time for me to press the button and go and get some coffee. Yeah, next one's going to be a video. I'm going to do those aluminium plates and make an indexing jig. So it'll be a video rather than a live, because I've got 108, about 160 holes to drill, which would be rather dull. You could drill and tap the wood, but actually this is a damn sight easier, much easier. I think Wayne's on, if he's still on, he started at 8 I believe. So if anybody wants to go and nip over and see if Wayne's still going. Been great having you with me, thank you very much. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe, but I think you all are actually. I recognise all your names. I even put a message up. Hang on. Hee hee hee. I found an app that does the same as Martin's Stream Deck, but it didn't cost me £200, it cost me £8. Alright, it's not as good, but it's £8. Oh, it's a wizard die, yeah, so you can reverse it. Yeah, you've got a groove at the back of the spindle which the lock nut should go into, so you have to drill and tap it to make sure that you hit that spot. You don't want to be putting a grub screw up against the threads of your spindle. The app, it gives me some buttons that I can just press, and it switches from one camera to another without me having to find the mouse and go and chase around looking for whatever. So I can quickly run through all the cameras. Like that. I could also put in, well, the two videos that were played were just buttons on the app. Press the buttons and away it goes. Good night, Vicky. Right, I'm going to hit the end stream, as Wayne would say. The app is called Touch Portal. There's a PC component and an Android component. The Android or iPad, it'll work on really old versions. So if you've got an old phone or an old tablet, this is a tablet that won't even run iPlayer anymore. It's my father-in-law's. He used to use it for listening to the Archers. It won't do that even, but it'll run this. Yeah, Touch Portal. Have a look at it. It's quite handy. I recommend it to Mike Waldt, but he hasn't got Wi-Fi in his workshop, and it requires Wi-Fi to operate. Right, it's time. I'm going to hit the blooming button. Good night. See you on the next stream. Cheers.